A closer look at the top political headlines this week, and joining us are Deputy Political Director Averi Harper and from Pittsburgh, ABC White House correspondent MaryAlice Parks. Good morning to you both. Always great to have you. So, Averi, let's start with you in that Arizona Supreme Court decision going back to this anti-abortion law from the 1800s. Democrats really trying to use this as a top campaign issue.
Right. It's no surprise that Vice President Kamala Harris was in the state yesterday. She was condemning Trump's abortion stance. She called him the architect of the health care crisis that we've seen after the overturning of Roe versus Wade. She urged Arizonans to come out and vote to restore reproductive rights in the state of Arizona. You have to remember, Arizona is one of 14 states where we could see abortion on the ballot, and that could have huge political implications. We know Arizona is a battleground state on the presidential level. There's also a Senate race that's very competitive there. And so abortion could be an issue that drives voters to come out to the polls in a way that Democrats are hoping can help them score some wins up and down the ballot.
And because of that, I want to bring in MaryAlice now. MaryAlice, Donald Trump's position on abortion, he is walking a very fine line as he tries to find a winning message on the issue. And our Rachel Scott really tried to push him on this.
Yeah, that's right. In recent election cycles, we've talked about whether Republicans have a Trump problem. Well, on abortion, Trump seems to have a Republican problem. I mean, look, he promised going into his first term that he was going to appoint anti-abortion judges. And yesterday, we heard him again really brag about the fact that he did that. He said they successfully broke Roe v. Wade. He said that it was working brilliantly, that the states were doing exactly what they were supposed to do. I mean, voters we have seen over and over really disagree and reject that idea. And as he was talking, I felt like I could hear Democrats starting to cut new ads. I mean, plus, when he was pushed by our Rachel Scott about whether he would sign a national abortion ban like he's talked about in the past, he tried to distance himself, but he was standing next to Republican House Speaker Mike Johnson, who also recently has said that he wouldn't pursue a national ban, but has for years been a co-sponsor of legislation that would put in place a national abortion ban. I mean, House Speaker Mike Johnson also has his name on a bill called the Life at Conception Act that, if passed, would really question the constitutionality of even IVF. So you're going to see Democrats in the lead up to November continuing to hammer this question. If Republicans keep the House, if Trump wins, do they really think that Trump would veto a national ban if Republicans sent it to him?
And while we're speaking of the former President Trump, Averi, let's go back to you because jury selection for his hush money trial is set to begin on Monday. How do we expect all of this to play out politically this week?
Right. As this hush money trial gets underway, the courthouse really does become the campaign trail for former President Trump. And we're going to see him try and take advantage of that. You know, yesterday in Florida, he was asked about this trial. He said that all of his legal troubles are a witch hunt. He claimed with zero evidence that this is a method of election interference. And that's really a call out to his supporters, not only for them to support him in November, but to give to his campaign. In the meantime, we know that millions of dollars of campaign donations have been used to pay for his legal bills. What remains to be seen is if this is going to expand his base in any way.
And while we're talking about how things play out politically, MaryAlice, what about the current president, Joe Biden's administration, announcement that it's canceling another round of student debt affecting more than 250,000 borrowers, nearly 300,000 Americans waking up to emails that their loans were wiped clean?
I mean, I think politically this depends on how well they message it. I mean, I've talked to a lot of young voters who still view student loan debt forgiveness as a broken campaign promise. They feel like President Biden fell short, hasn't done enough. I mean, he actually has done arguably quite a lot. Even after the court struck down his first plan, he has, through more targeted programs, offered over $150 billion in relief, like you said, to over 4 million Americans. That's roughly 1 in 10 of those Americans that hold student loan debt. So I think that if more and more Americans start to feel this, that will make a difference politically. I mean, obviously, Janae, it is controversial. There are some Americans that don't agree with the idea of forgiving student loan debt. But look, the president needs to shore up those young voters. We have seen recent polling averages from 538 that show that his margin there has really dipped with young voters. And so this is definitely a play to make sure that he feels like he can say he's delivering on those campaign promises, guys.
A lot of work to be done by both candidates. Ladies, thank you both for being with us this morning.